And like I told you guys before, that this is where I'm going to show you how to make this uh, leather art holder that's going to hold the plaque that we've been working on. All right. So the first thing what I'm going to do is I found a nice little scrap piece that's going to be big enough to do what we needed to do. So we're going to not even use that part. So don't even focus on that part there. Um, I'm going to go to my pen on this one. This is going to be the, because I want to make sure that I'm able to see it when I cut this. Just make sure that this is going to be long enough, which I believe it will be. So it is 7.5 inches, which is perfect. Now I want you to follow along with me on this one because this is going to be an interesting build. This is going to be very interesting, and to show you this is just another thing that's just going to show you just how far you can take this business. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make a holder for this. Now, I measured this out 7.5 inches. Now, the holder that we're going to make, let me show you how this is going to work. I'm going to tape round this off with one of my round punches, and this is going to go down diagonal, and it's going to have a little hook foot at the base. And this is pretty much the shape, this V shape. So I'm going to wet form this, and then I'm going to leave it pent. Put the hair dryer on it. I'm just going to give you the process so you guys already know. Once I wet form this, I'm going to put the clothespin here to keep it closed. Take the hair dryer and dry all of that water out. I'm going to completely dry this out. Completely dry it out. So I want to make sure that it's going to hold its V-form shape. So then, when they buy this, this is going to slip right down that little slope, lean up against the backing, but the little hooks will be able to hold the feet on there. So it's just going to make it a regular tabletop mount. Now, if you want to give it a little bit more security to where it don't spread. Now, even if it does spread, it's not going to go past the curves in this plaque. That's what the little hooks on the bottom is for. So it's not going to go past that if it stretches out. So the only way it's going to go back out this way is if somebody stretch it out that way. You know, but we don't want that. We want to keep it to where it's going to stay right here. But it's going to prop up enough to where it will sit to where somebody can look at it. So let's get to crafting this. Now, this is just one of those ideas that come out the top of the head. But it's going to be functioning and it's going to work. So the first thing we need to do is find out how big we want these little hooks to be. So I'm going to come in, I think a 1/2 inch is big enough. And we're going to round that off too with the little round punches. So first thing I'm going to do is make my mark on a 1/2 inch on both sides. But I'm going to come up here a 1/2 inch as well. Because let's come up 3/4 of an inch. 3/4 of an inch is how deep we want that hook, because we're going to cut down to about, we're going to cut down to a 1/2 on this angle. No, we're going to do more than that. Let's go 1/4 of an inch. That's how deep we're going to cut this angle. All right, so this is the cut, and this is where the hook is going to come back. So let's draw it here. I guess I need to use the pencil, because if we dye this brown or whatever the color the antique gel is, we wanted to make sure that it stays all the same. So let's come here with the 1/2. Come here with 3/4. It really don't matter about this part, because this is only going to come here. All right. So let's get here and just do a quick scratch. Now, next thing I want to do, I want to know what the center of this back part is. So if we measure this 7.5, 3.5 and 3.5 is 7. So the other half is going to be 3 3/4 is the center of this. 3 3/4 is going to be the center of that V. So I know this is going to be in the back. Perfect. Now, I need to do the opposite side the same way. 1/4 of an inch. 3/4 of an inch. And then we're going to come in a 1/2 inch. A full 1/2 inch. And then we're just going to draw that out right there. Now, from this back part, I don't want to have that much of a slope. So I need to grab my protractor. I need to grab my protractor and find out how much of a degree I want this to come off from in here. So if I'm going to my center mark, and I want this to come straight up, so I want it to be more than a 45. Let's center that. So if I want this to be where it's going to sit straight up, I need to get the angle just about right. So I want this to come about here, which is there to that corner. So I want this to sit just like that. See, family? Easy peasy. But I want this to sit down into the cradle and not I want it to sit flat. That's the idea. I want it to sit flat. So we're going to come right there. And then I'm going to get my degrees right here, which is 120, I believe. That's what it is. Yes, 60 degrees. 60 degrees. So I need to mark this off 60 degrees on both sides. So I'm going to come to this side over here. Center that on my line. And then I'm going to use 60-degree mark over here. And then we're going to come right there. So let's draw this line straight all the way across. And let's use our L square. All right. So now I have my corner here. So now I'm going to put the same line right there, 60 degrees. So this is going to set in a 60-degree angle. So now we can get to cutting. So first thing that I'm going to do is come here and push this down into my line and cut this V out right there. Same thing over here. Push my knife all the way through. Come straight up. All the way through. Cut that angle. Now we've cut that V out. Same thing over here. Now you see how this is going to work. We're just matching this and making sure that everything is cool. Now it's not matching up, so we're going to make those adjustments now. Make sure this is even. And then I'm going to take my pen. This has to be even. You don't want to throw it off and do shabby work. But we want this to be nice and clean. And I'm just going to pull that softly. Come back in here. Cut that out. Ha! Now, so if we just did this just to make sure, and then let's go ahead and cut these ends off here. Well, let's use our round punches because we want this to be polished as much so we don't have to work as hard. So I'm going to take my round punches, find the right size. And there, trust me, there is a round punch that's going to make this nice and even. So I'm going to line up my punches and knock this off. And this needs to be a little bit bigger. So I got to go to this one. Just to make a clean punch. Make sure that it is straight to the human eyeball as possible. Same thing on the other side. Now we're just going to test this. Now, made out of scrap, so it didn't cost us anything. Look at that. This is the concept and idea. Now, I mean, and again, ladies and gentlemen, it's not hard. It's not hard. All it takes is some creativity. And this haven't even been wet formed yet. Because like I told you, this part here is just going to be wide enough, but it's not going to hurt it sticking out. Now the board is going to make it where it's going to set perfectly, but the leather is what's going to make this just really, and you guys can see that. Now it can sit on any coffee table, anywhere that it needs to be at. That's awesome sauce right there. I couldn't have dreamed of that being any better. And again, that was just something quick. Didn't even know it was going to work. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me when I tell you, I didn't know that that was going to work. I just thought that it was a better way to make the whole entire piece. If I'm going to sell you something leather, I'm going to sell you everything majority leather. The only thing that's not leather is this wood. But I did not know that that was going to work, honestly. It was just something that came into my head. And I guess just from doing stuff over and over and over again, the ideas, if you're in that spirit of leather crafting, more ideas and things will come to you. Didn't even know that that was going to work. But the perfect stand for this particular project. Alhamdulillah. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and finish getting this prepped. I'm going to get my edge rounder and round off these corners. Okay, so I'm going to get my edge rounder. I'm going to use the aggressive one because it's a nice thick. This is probably this is a 10-ounce piece of leather here. So, but now I'm going to, those pin marks that we use, that's all going to come off now because I'm going to aggressively take that mark off. Voila, as you see it. And you guys can see, that's the pin. Let me get to where you can see. You can see that pin mark there. We just took that pin mark off. That's why I wasn't worried about using the pin. And now I'm going to run this pass by here one more time to take off any extras that might be on there. I'm going to take this little corner off here. Boom. Take that pin out there. And then I'm going to come back and aggressively take this piece off too. Now, with this particular part, I'm going to flip this over and round the inside off as well. I want to round all of this off because even though it's not the focal point, it is an added piece to our artwork, and I want all of it to look good. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Now I don't know if I'm not going to be able to edge round this off. So I'm going to leave that part flat. And I might can just take off a little bit of it. I'm trying to angle this up and take that little piece off. Yeah, I'm going to round off a little. As far as I can get my edge rounder in there. Just to keep it all uniform. If I need to polish that up some more, I'll take the sandpaper and get that in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my square blade guide. If you guys don't have this tool, you might want to go to Tandy. I think these are like 79 cents at Tandy. Great little hidden gem. Great little hidden gem. Your square blade goes right into this slot here. Now this one has measurements on it, so you can slide this in and out to see how much of a border you want or an edge line you want. And then you have these screws that can tighten it back up. Let me use my trapper right here. And we'll get to this too. I'm glad I pulled this out. This is my trapper case. That holds. Now this knife belonged to my father, so this thing is old as hillside dirt. But I made a case for it just so, because I remember he used to whittle with this thing. Now whittling, if you're not familiar with Southern terms, whittling is where you can take an old tree branch or a piece of wood and I remember he used to carve stuff with this knife, man. And golly, this is an old trapper. An old one. Man, that's a golly. But anyway, just need to tighten that up. And that didn't even get it tight enough. So, because that's not what you use to tighten this up with. Let me grab my screwdriver. Now this, the guide attaches just like this onto your square blade. And what it does, it cuts the perfect border for you. So let's start right here on this end. And I'm just going to pull this all the way through. And you can cut that border without having to measure it off, or freehand cut. You know, you can just put your guide onto it and it'll make the cut for you. Very nice, very clean. Nothing hard about this. Good little tool to have. Now what I'm going to do is take this off now and finish out getting down into here. I'm going to do that part freehand, but generally you can do this without having to mark anything off. All right. So now, ladies and gentlemen, the only thing left to do is to go ahead and tool this up. I'm going to case this and start moving some of my stuff around while we are waiting. Don't forget, now this is the pancake style. I made this particular style. What I did was a little Glock 9, what we call baby Glocks in the hood, or baby 9 in the hood. Sometimes you hear the term called baby. And that's what they're referring to, the baby 9s. But what I did, I took that baby 9 holster pancake style, and then I shrunk it down to be able to hold my father's old trapper knife in there. Man, I need to get this thing polished up because the rivets are coming out too. I want to save that. That's the great thing about those old trapper knives. Man, those things last forever. And you can go back and you can send them back and they'll put new plates on them. But I want to keep it as much as I can because everything is still original, but the pins are coming out. But we will get to a video to where we're going to make these because this is another small project that you can make a lot of money off of. And this is done with the barbed wire stamp, if you guys can see that. That's the barbed wire stamp. And I was just playing around. Now, what I liked about this design was the barbed wires, when you connect the two legs to two other barbed wires, it creates a secondary shape in the inside. But I'm not going to spoil that video. That's why I tell you guys to learn your tools and what your tools can do. And I got all of that information from my stamping days, which that's going to be a video because I want to tell you guys and explain to you how you can make money without having to spend a lot of money, and you can build a great business doing this. That's going to be a separate video. I'll probably go live and do that. All right. So this is where we are now. So now I'm going to come back with my beveler, my background, because I remember I said in the video that I'm going to match this with the same pattern that's into the portrait. So let's get to background in this. Just gonna make this cut a little deeper. Because I really want my backgrounder to stand out. Just gonna cut this a little deeper. Now this channel is already cut, so you shouldn't be making another separate cut. All you're doing is just following the original cut. Now I did that so my point can go right down into that cut, and then I can just bevel that out. Just that simple. That's why you want to make that a little deeper. Now, the thicker the leather, the deeper you can cut with it. This is why, if you guys ever notice saddle makers' leather carving is so beautiful because that's 13 to 15 ounce thickness. So you basically almost got an 1/8 of an inch thick piece of leather that you're working with. So you can cut deep into that hide, and it's going to make your work it's going to make your work stand out. This is why you don't find a lot of crafters doing a lot of tooling and carving on anything less than a 5. Because you really can't cut that deep. And it's not just the cutting, it's the tooling. Because you can tool right through. Your tools can go right through the leather if you doing it right. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to come right back with my camouflage tool. Now, this one is different. Because I'm working, I don't want to throw off my stamping with this. So I'm going to start in the center. That's why I drew that. Another reason why I drew that center line. Now, this is going to be folded. So I'm going to put my camouflage tool right here at the half. I'm going to split this. So that way, even when it's folded, it won't stretch and push out my stamp. So I'm going to come on both sides of the center line with this tool so it will be able to pick up the stamping work, right? So now I'm going to come right there and then just touch it, not cross over, but just touch it. You guys can see that. You see where my center line is? Right in between that. But I came on both sides of my center line. And now I'm going to tool back this way. Just touch it. That's all I want to do. That couldn't have worked out any better. Again, this was not planned. I can promise you people, this was not planned. This was something that was just on the fly. I had an idea what I wanted to do, but I didn't know if it was going to work. All right, so let's do the exact same thing at the top. Now here is not going to take a full stamp, so what I'm going to do is lean this back just to get the impression and just create a camouflage stamp right there, you see? It still looks like the regular camouflage stamp, but it's not the full stamp. All I did was just lean it to one side, then I put my leg, reset my leg on the outside guideline and stamp that half. So the way that this camouflage tool is made, it allowed me to do that. Now, I'm going to come right here in this corner and go right down here with it. Boom. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Oh, wow. That couldn't have worked out any better. That couldn't have worked out any better. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a little cedar stamp right here. I'm going to go and find me another little, just a little small 3D stamp, just to make that. You know what? I have my small camouflage that I'm just going to put right on top of this line. I'm going to put one at the top. No, well, let me do the bottom one first. So I'm going to turn this upside down, and you guys will see it when I stamp it. Again, this just came to my head real quick. And then I'm going to flip that over, put that there, do this one here. Flip this over, put that one there. Just matching those up. Now I'm going to grab my cedar tool. And I'm just going to drop a, you know what? No, I'm not. I just like the way that design look. You guys, can you see that? I'm going to leave it just like that. Again, don't make it too busy. Don't make it too busy. It doesn't have to be busy. Because all it is just I don't want to put any additional work on it. It just needs to be functioning like that. Because most people, they won't see that anyway if it's on a table. But it's just extra added value upsell. Because when this, now if I was at the flea market, this is how it would be sitting on my table. It would be sitting on my table just like this. So the people walking by it can see it. And then, like again, man, how cool is that? How cool is that? All made out of leather except the wood. And it's serving the purpose on what it needs to be doing. The only other idea that I had in my head was to do a roll holder, which a roll holder, I was going to wet form another piece of leather like this, and then curl this end up, and I was going to let it dry out in this particular shape. You see, this is a rolled holder. Now, I have one of these for my business cards that I set up on my table if I'm at an event or something like that. But the way that this particular piece is made, you see it's already up high. It wouldn't have sat in there right because of the way that the plaque is made. It wouldn't have sat right. So that's what made me go to the hooks style. But that's the only, you can do a lot, ladies and gentlemen, with these. And especially once you put the hairdryer on there. Now, a lot of crafters use a, what you would do, once you wet form this, you would turn your masking tape backwards. So the sticky side is up against the leather so it doesn't leave any residue on it. And then you would put this in like one of those radiant, like not an air fryer, but the little ovens that has the little wires that turn red. It's just heat. So it's and it will dry that water out. Woof! It will dry that water out something serious. I just don't like those. You'll see a lot of those being used in cobbler shops, but I found nothing better for me than the hairdryer. And then I can just turn the hairdryer on, lean it over, and then put this right in front of the blower. And once I tape it with that masking tape, I just want it to dry the water out. Now, if it's summertime, you can tape this and leave it outside on lay it out there on the concrete or brick or something, wherever the sun is going to do it, like the old natives used to do, and just let it dry out in the sun naturally. And when it dries, it's going to dry hard as a brick, but it's going to hold that shape. And then you can sell these as a leather card holder, and you can stamp whatever person's name or business that they want into those card holders. Great little, and you can sell these things for 20 bucks. 20 bucks, a leather card holder, just because it has the name on it. Now, oh man, I got to do a business video for you guys and let y'all know. I'm just going to tell you some stories and show you some things that you can make just for business people. But this worked out, ladies and gentlemen, better than I ever even thought. I mean, the tool work is not overboard, but it does match the border around our leather piece. So great. I think we're good. I'll see you guys actually in 72 hours once I get ready to start putting the antique gel on there. I'm going to get back to work and get some other jobs knocked out of the way. Peace out. See you guys on the other side.